If you are still calling expired listings with the same script every agent in your market is using, you are working against yourself. The homeowner who just had their listing expire after 90 days on market already knows the standard opener. They have heard it from 4 agents this week. They know you are about to tell them you have buyers and a great marketing plan. What actually gets a callback is a script that demonstrates you did 30 seconds of homework on why their listing might have expired. Overpriced relative to recent comps. Poor photography based on what the MLS shows. Limited showing availability, and opens with something specific, not generic. In this video, I'll generate 5 personalized cold outreach scripts for expired listings in under 8 minutes using a single ChatGPT prompt. Not the same script 5 times with the name swapped in. 5 genuinely different openers, each built around a different likely reason the listing failed, so you can match the script to what you know about the property before you dial. Normally, building 5 differentiated scripts by hand takes me the better part of an hour. Here it is 8 minutes. Quick disclaimer, this is a productivity demo, not professional advice. All scripts generated here are for educational purposes. Cold calling regulations vary by jurisdiction. In the US, the FTC do not call rules and TCPA apply. In Canada, CSL governs unsolicited commercial outreach. In Australia, the Spam Act and the Do Not Call Register. You are responsible for knowing and following the rules in your market before making any cold outreach call. Also, some links in the description are affiliate. Full disclosure there. Now, the workflow. Here is why the standard expired listing approach has a low success rate. The homeowner who just had a listing expire has already had one bad experience with an agent, or at minimum a frustrating experience where their home did not sell. They are defensive, skeptical, and a little embarrassed about the situation. The last thing they want is another agent calling with the same promise the previous agent made. The agents who actually get these appointments do something different in the first 30 seconds of the call. They demonstrate specific knowledge about the listing that shows they are not just dialing from a list. Something like, I noticed your listing was priced about 8% above the most recent comparables that closed in your neighborhood. That pricing gap is often the primary factor in DOM beyond 90 days. That kind of opener requires knowing something about the property before the call. I had a week last year where I had 11 expired listings in my target zip code and exactly 40 minutes of prep time. I needed personalized openers for all 11, and I only had time to do meaningful research on maybe 3 of them. That is what pushed me to build this prompt. A way to generate differentiated scripts quickly from basic data I could pull in 30 seconds per property. Before you open ChatGPT, you need 5 pieces of data per expired listing. First, the original list price and the most recent comparable closed price in the neighborhood. You are looking for the pricing gap. Second, original list date and expiration date, so you know the DOM. Third, the number of price reductions, if any. Your MLS shows this. Fourth, any obvious listing presentation issues you can see from the public record. Low photo count. No virtual tour on a property where that is standard. Limited showing window if your MLS shows it. Fifth, the property specs, address, beds, baths, square footage. With those 5 data points per property, you can generate a script that opens with something genuinely specific. I keep a quick log sheet in Google Sheets where I fill in those 5 fields for each expired as I pull it from the MLS. Takes about 90 seconds per property. Now I will open ChatGPT and build the prompt. Here's the prompt. I'll type it out completely so you can see every element. Role instruction. You are a real estate prospecting coach helping an agent write cold outreach scripts for expired listings. The agent's goal is to get a listing appointment, not a sale on the call. Scripts should be natural, conversational, and specific, never generic or pushy. Then the instruction block. Write 5 distinct cold call opening scripts for the following expired listing. Each script should lead with a different specific reason the listing may have expired, based on the data provided. Scripts should be 20 to 30 seconds long when spoken aloud. Each script gets a label, angle 1, angle 2, and so on, and a 1-line note explaining the opening angle. Then the property data block. For my sample property I'll use address 345 Demo Drive Sampleville, original list price $399,000, most recent comp in neighborhood $372,000, which is a 7% gap, DOM 94 days, 2 price reductions of $10,000 each, 14 photos in MLS, which is below average for this market. No virtual tour listed, 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,800 square feet. Then the guardrail section. Do not make guarantees about sale price or timeline. Do not reference other agents negatively. Scripts must be usable under standard real estate prospecting guidelines. No pressure tactics. That is the complete prompt. Let me run it now. Look at the 5 outputs. Angle 1 opens with the pricing gap, the 7% variance between list price and neighborhood comps. That is your strongest opener for a property that went 90+ days with 2 price reductions, because the data is right there. Angle 2 opens with the photo presentation gap, 14 photos versus the market average of 24. This is an opening a lot of agents miss because it requires actually looking at the MLS listing, but it demonstrates immediately that you did your homework and that you have a specific diagnosis, not just a pitch. Angle 3 addresses the DOM directly. 94 days is long enough that the seller knows something went wrong, and this script opens by acknowledging that and pivoting to what typically causes that length of time in the market. Angle 4 is a fresh start frame. No mention of what went wrong, just a specific data-driven reason why now is still a viable time to list based on market conditions. Angle 5 is the shortest and most conversational. It leads with a question about the seller's current timeline rather than with data. I tested a version of this prompt without the data block, just a generic prompt asking for expired listing scripts, and all 5 outputs were essentially the same script with minor wording variations. The data block is what makes the 5 openers genuinely different. Without specific property data, the model has nothing to differentiate on. Once you have the 5 angles, you pick the 1 or 2 that best match what you know about the property and the seller. If you know from public records that the seller is still active in the market, they just relist with another agent at a different price, you skip angle 1 and go with a fresh start frame. If you know the property is visually strong and pricing was the clear issue, you go with angle 1. I copy the chosen script into a note in my phone. I use Apple Notes, but any note app works, and I practice it out loud twice before the call. Based on feedback from agents who tried an earlier version of this workflow, the read aloud practice step sounds obvious, but most people skip it and then stumble on the first line because they have only read it silently. 20 seconds of out loud practice before the call makes the delivery noticeably smoother. One last thing, whatever script you use, read the full output for any language that does not feel authentic to your voice. If a line does not sound like something you would say, swap it. The model writes serviceable but generic English. Your job is to make it sound like you. Time from this session. Filling in the 5-field data sheet for 5 expired listings for minutes and 30 seconds. Typing and running the ChatGPT prompt, 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Reviewing the 5 angles and selecting the best per property, 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Total preparation time for 5 personalized scripts, 11 minutes and 10 seconds. The manual version, researching each expired and writing a differentiated opener from scratch, was 45 to 60 minutes minimum, and the outputs were often still too similar to each other because I was writing them in sequence with diminishing creative energy. With this workflow, you get genuinely different angles because you gave the model a clear differentiator, specific property data, and a clear structure requirement. 5 distinct angles, not 5 variations. And critically, you are not making cold calls with a script you wrote in the final 20 minutes before your prospecting block started. The full prompt is in the description. Copy it, swap in your expired listing data, and you are running this in 8 minutes. I also have a simple Google Sheets template for the 5-field data capture link below. It is a 1-minute setup. The free prompt pack in the description has this script generator plus 9 other prompts for lead workflows. Subscribe for 3 practical AI workflows per week, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Next video, I am showing you how to use Claude to build a contract review checklist, a structured list of key clauses to look for before you hand anything to your client for signature. See you then.